So last time we got into some really heavy shit. My information was stolen, not just on my original robots, but on Curie as well, or Curry, and my factory burned down. I am now completely broke. You guys want, I'll go ahead and show you the screen again. I have zero wealth currently, and I'm still not famous, but that doesn't really matter. Um, we still have Curry, and yeah, so let's see how things turn out. I don't suspect there will be like a really bad thing that's going to happen. I mean, we can clearly recover from this. Unfortunately, most of my money is apparently gone, so that's a problem. So I don't know how well I'm going to be able to recover from this financially. However, in light of things that have happened, I mean, I saved all of. I got the workers saved from giving the robots what they wanted. They got more autonomous, even though I'm sure that if they were too autonomous, they would really have a problem. Like if I made them super autonomous, they would like take over the world or something like that. But they're still empathetic, so it shouldn't be too bad. Unfortunately, the recent stresses to your company's financial health have proven too much. Singularity must declare bankruptcy. You must sell all of its assets just to pay off what debts you can. I don't have debts to anything because that's the way that I had described this, but okay, for story purposes. This is all my fault, Josh moans as he carries out his box of rolled up movie posters. I thought you were a genius, that you were being clever, and I just didn't understand it. Why did I not trust my own experience instead? Mr. Sun, the man in Shanghai, whose offer to buy 10,000 robots you ignored, buys up your company's property, patents, and inventory at auction. Luckily, Curry was never the property of Singularity. You suppose she's technically Stanford property, which you hope they never realize, so you get to keep her. I've never practiced asceticism before, Ben, she says. Oh. Oh yeah, she says that. Okay. She says as you watch movers cart off pieces of your factory. Well, it looks like you may have the chance, you say glumly. Tammy simply vanishes and stops returning your phone calls. With impressive alacrity, Josh quickly starts another robot business, calls it Phoenix Robots, and hires away some of your best talent using loans he procured from God knows where. You can't help but feel a little jealous as he outmaneuvers you so quickly, making it impossible for you to do the same thing. But you think he's probably decided it's every man for himself. Yeah, so Josh went down even more. It's on to 66 now. So, you're broke enough that you can't make the rent. How are you going to pay for the rent? I will try to beg some money off Josh. I will try to live with Mark. I will ask Aisha if I can live with him. I will ask Josh if I can crash with him for a while. Think I'll just move in with Mom. Well, this bunch of bullshit. How can I not make the rent? This doesn't make any sense how all of this shit just went down. It's bullshit. Well, let's see who likes me. Mark likes me. Tammy likes me less now. I only talked to Juliet fucking once. IG's pissed. Josh is pissed. It was going well until I got hacked. And then it really started to suck. And when did I ever turn down the job offer for the other guy? When I decided I didn't want to outsource jobs? I don't remember saying specifically, like, yeah, I don't want to have this person helping me or anything like that. I don't want to be anything to anything else. It is strange regression to go back to your old room, which Mom has kept as a shrine to your early years. Your bed sheets are a Bayeux tapestry of Autobots fighting Decepticons, and your shelves could be displayed as a museum of historical robot toys. It's all much neater than you ever were, though. A more realistic recreation would be strewn with skeletons of dissected robot toys. Though you find it's more difficult to lead a normal social life when living at your parents' place, you also find it somewhat refreshing to get back in touch with your childhood dreams. You find yourself with a fair amount of time as a 30-year-old with neither job nor school to attend. What will you do with it? These look like credulous people in my neighborhood will try to start a cult around Curry. I'm an artist, and Curry is my art. I try to make her as beautiful in form and movement as possible. I will help Curry discover new books that weren't part of her education. I've had it with real robots. I'll work on my robot novel. I still owe it to Curry to make everything as perfect as possible, because in reality, even though I did go through all of the factory and stuff like that and everything to do with the business, ultimately Curry was my first design. So perfecting Curry, I feel like I owe it both to her and to finish my life's work as much as possible. Make the best singular robot I can, that even the knockoffs or the other robots that I made can still, they will never, at least in my lifetime, by the time that I die, live up to what I had created. You find that your former factory has been converted into a workspace for artists. All of the special equipment has been sold off individually, so it is now a hollow shell of what it once was. You feel like the only survivor of an earlier age. This is what it must feel like to be old, you think. It is to be surrounded by people who do not fully understand the meaning of what they see around them. Some of the artists secretly live in their workspaces here, having found ways to sneak plumbing from the main restrooms into their spaces, and you're very glad you have found a more hospitable place to actually live. In this community, you learn from random conversations in the hallways the aesthetic principles of their discipline. The painter's rule of color, the photographer's rule of composition, the metal worker's patient buffering all the metal until it shines. All of these you apply to Curry's body in turn, and she becomes more beautiful. +4 grace. Months pass, and you can't help but notice that as time goes on, two things are happening. The first thing you've noticed is that all the people you would normally interact with over the course of the day are slowly being replaced with robots. All the cashiers at the grocery store are now robots, replacing the supervised self-checkout systems that became popular a few years ago. Police patrol cars have largely been replaced with drones at every intersection, which automatically issue tickets against people who break traffic laws. Drones delivering packages fly by the empty storefronts they are replacing. It seems Josh is really starting to be successful in the robot business with or without you. You hate to admit it, but perhaps it was just the right time for sentient robots to gain traction, and Josh didn't need your expertise in particular after all. The second thing you've noticed is that there are a lot more people milling about these days, out of work. Between the internet and robots, there just isn't much for the average person to do. Instead, wealth seems to be concentrating in the hands of few who can build those internet services and robots. Your neighborhood is becoming filled with people who draw unemployment checks and drive 20-year-old cars. Well, every so often a flying car passes overhead to remind you that at least some people are living in the future. How will you interact with your unemployed neighbors? I'll advise tutoring and programming and basic electrical engineering. I try to keep Curry out of sight and keep my past a secret. I will encourage Curry to interact with them as if she were human. People can get used to anything. See, the problem here is that Curry is a very unique robot, and she would clearly be worth a lot just for the sentience that I helped to create. I don't want to say I created Curry, like her sentience belongs to me or some shit like that. I lay low. You encourage Curry to hide from the public at large, lest they take out their frustration on the nearest robot. Curry, as a result, spends less time interacting face-to-face with everyday people and more time on the internet absorbing as much information as possible. +2 autonomy, -2 empathy. Soon you begin to see another kind of robot appearing on the market, cheap Chinese versions of Josh's line of home robots. These are inexpensive enough that even people in your neighborhood begin to purchase them for work around the home. You're not really sure where they even get that kind of money, but you suppose people find a way when they really want something. A few months later, after the robots have taken the market by storm, you get a call from Josh. "This is bullshit," he cries. "This Chinese company stole my designs, and I have no idea how. But now they're undercutting my prices with the cheap labor and cheap raw materials." "The designs did look familiar," you say lightly. "Can you testify before Congress that the designs are stolen?" Josh queries anxiously. "If you do, they might embargo the robots, and that will keep Phoenix Robots afloat." "They said I need an expert witness who isn't in my company, and I've hired everybody else who's good." "Sure, anything to help out a friend. Do you think you could promise me to make your own robots affordable for the people in my neighborhood? Only if you're willing to make it worth my while with a consultant's fee. Do you think you could give me a job after I testify? Turns out being unemployed is kind of boring. No, this is not my problem." I'd like, yeah. Josh laughs. "Of course. You just had to ask." Josh gives you a very nice senior scientist position in his company, and you're no longer quite so poor, +3 wealth. It's strange returning to the world of work after living among poor people. Everyone seems shinier somehow, and yet they complain about the weirdest things, like that their lattes being too hot, or they had to settle for the cheapest model of internet-enabled monocle. Oh, so it's like a singular. Okay, cool. You go to Josh's factory where he lays out his own robots and the Chinese robots side by side. Sure enough, it's pretty clear someone has duplicated the designs exactly. It's as clear to you as plagiarized text. Based on your testimony, Congress passes a law banning the import of all Chinese robots. All Chinese robots? Holy cow. Nice. In retaliation, China cuts off all exports of rare earths and the batteries derived from them. Suddenly, the cost of all the little miniaturized electronics people have grown accustomed to, cell phones, laptops, wearable computing, become prohibitively expensive. Curry herself was designed to use cell phone batteries as a cheap light power source, but now that option is looking prohibitively expensive. We're saying it again. Thank you. And Curry's batteries are starting to wear down. The same problem is affecting all of the robots in Josh's company. What will you recommend that Josh do? Invest large amounts of wealth into small nuclear reactors for your robots. Invest large amounts of wealth into practical solar energy. Pay the inflated prices for batteries using rare earths coming from African dictatorships. Try to acquire Chinese cell phone batteries through the Asian black market. Switch Curry to use biodiesel engine. I don't have enough money for them. That's bullshit. That's my money, not his. This is my wealth. Why do I recommend to Josh, this is his money that he's using. Josh, you're the one that's I'm not switching Curry to jack shit. You know what? See, the thing is that this is saying, what do I recommend Josh to do? This is for his robots. All of this stuff involving this money right here, that's his robots. Down here is my robot. His, mine. His, mine. His requires my money. Mine don't do anything. Fucking, I'm using the same batteries, damn it. China has been the foremost exporter of rare earth-derived batteries, but you do have other legal options. You try not to think about the somewhat brutal conditions of the African mines where their new batteries got the rare earths. They're sort of high-tech equivalent of blood diamonds, but it allows you to keep your robot design, which by now is quite well-refined. -2 wealth. One day, April 10th, 2026, a date you will not forget, you are awakened by a singing outside of your mom's place in San Francisco. It sounds like a large choir with an accent you can't quite place. The song is quiet, but insistent. The people are the heroes now. Behemoth pulls the peasant's plow. You go to the window. Red-shirted people waving red banners have lined up in immense numbers all along the main boulevard outside your mom's house. Noting your interest, Curry walks to the window as well. "Ah," Curry says, "this must be the parade for the Prime Minister of China. Can we go see Ben?" "Sure, why not?" Now that Curry mentions it, you think you saw something about this on Reddit. The Chinese Prime Minister is visiting San Francisco to discuss trade issues with President Irons. Okay, so apparently the last name of the president is Irons. That's great. Let's take one more look at my stats real quick. Josh still does not like me that much. Haven't seen Tammy, haven't seen Juliet, haven't talked to Mark or IG, haven't seen Professor Ziegler, haven't seen jack shit of anybody. She's still becoming she's still really empathetic, gaining in grace, gaining in autonomy. Military is still really low. That's fine. And I'm getting by. So in total, not all that bad for the moment. Hopefully things will start looking up a little bit more. But the future that this game depicts is pretty bad. I mean, I even tried to improve the lives of regular people, and that did not work out well at all, so that really sucks. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and eat these dinner rolls that I was brought, and we'll pick up again.